Hello and welcome to another Stay with Amy K YouTube live video. And I'm just out here checking to make sure that everything looks good on the live side, which hopefully it does. And if you are hopping in to join me live, I would appreciate if you'd say hello and drop me a comment and just let me know that you're here. And if you're watching the replay, that is awesome too. Just going to slide my camera a second because, like I said, I'm still, for whatever reason, it looks a little different when I'm getting things set up than it does when I actually push the button to go live. So hopefully we are all good here. And so, hey, Patricia, thanks for hopping in today. So I'm just going to show you a card that I actually posted the details on my blog already about. So I posted it earlier today, but I thought I would show you anyway how I made this. Since tomorrow we actually have a fun little event going on, and I'll tell you about that in 1 second. But just wanted to tell you a little bit more about, hey, Lori, and I see Sheila's here as well. So thanks so much for joining today. So I just made this card. And again, posted it earlier on my blog and thought I'd show you quickly how I made it. I used the Beautiful Friendship stamp set, which is one from the current annual catalog. And I've kind of been dusting off some of my annual catalog stamp sets because I'm just worried that many of the things might potentially retire, things that I love. And so just want to show them off one last time before our retiring list comes out. So we shall see what carries over and what doesn't. But I'm hoping this one sticks around for a little while because it's definitely a good one. Hi, Kathy. I see Rosie's here. Hello. And Cheryl as well. Thank you so much for hopping in today. One other thing I wanted to talk about was the retiring in colors. Hey, Linda, thanks for joining today. So these in colors most likely are going to, well, I know they're going to retire as in colors, but sometimes our in colors, they do some changing around of the color families, and we end up with the in colors sticking around for a little bit longer as regular core colors. But I don't know if Stampin' Up! Is going to do that or not this year, so we shall see. But these colors, all the colors that I used on my card today are actually from the outgoing in colors, if that makes sense. So they're the 2018 to 2020 in colors. So if these are colors that you love, which I really do love, some of the colors I like, some of them I love. I love Grapefruit Grove, and I absolutely love the Pineapple Punch. So those are my two very favorites out of this collection. Hi, Pat. Thanks for joining today. So, and Barbara, I see, is here as well. So, oh, hey, Karen, thanks for hopping on today, too. So anyway, so I was playing around with the in colors. I had a blog hop this morning, and we were supposed to use the retiring in colors. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to use them. And I decided I was going to use them all. So I used every single one of them on this card. So anyhow, so that is my card for today. A couple other things that I used on the inside of the card. I actually used the Itty Bitty Birthdays stamp set, one of the sentiments from there. And it is the Cheers to You is the image that we used on the inside. And then I also used one of these stitched shapes dies. And I think in my write-up this morning, I put the wrong one. It's the second smallest, and I think it was the second largest, but it's the second smallest die that we'll be using to cut out the sentiment on here. So let me set a few of these things aside here while I get everything set up. So one thing I did want to remind you about is we do have our Ink and Crew Ornate Garden Facebook event going on tomorrow. So we're going to be we've started it up, opened the group up today. There's a link out on my blog post. There's a link on my Facebook page, all that stuff. So the details are all posted out there. Definitely hop in. Would love to have you join us for the event. It's just something that's fun because we figured everybody's trapped at home and we have new products. So we wanted to give you something fun to do for the weekend. We are going to have lives going on Facebook from 1 o'clock until about, well, I guess they start from 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock, but we should be wrapping things up by 6 o'clock in the evening tomorrow, Eastern time. So you'll have to kind of convert that out to whatever time zone you're in. So, hey, Cindy, thanks for hopping on. I'm glad that you joined in today. So anyhow, so we've got a little event going on, so hopefully it'll be a lot of fun. We're going to be sharing a lot of projects. There are a couple that are posted out there already today, and I know a bunch more are going to be posted tomorrow, as well as, like I said, we've got 5 Facebook Lives from different people on our team who are joining us to present projects made with a beautiful suite of products called the Ornate Garden Suite. So again, the details are on my blog today, so if you would love to or like to join us, we'd love to have you come join us and check out what we're making. And like I said, it's going to be fun. We got a couple little prizes to give away, so that's always a good thing too. So anyway, hop in and join us. So let me get my card pieces set up here. I went ahead and pre-cut obviously a bunch of things ahead of time. I switched around and oh, hey Kay, how are you from North Carolina? Glad to see you here. So So I switched up the Designer Series paper for this one. This is from the 2018 to 2020 in color Designer Series paper pack, which again we know is going to retire. And also I'm sort of getting the impression that all of these paper packs are going to retire. The Brights one sold out this morning, so unfortunately you can't purchase that one anymore. So if these paper stacks are something that you love as much as I do, get out and get them purchased now, because the Color Family ones, they're being discontinued now. I hope they're going to put back some really awesome new ones, but it's nice to have the Color Family Designer Series papers. So if you do not have them yet, definitely get on getting them. So again, this is from the 2018 to 2020 in color 6x6 Designer Series paper pack, and I'm going to adhere it on. It's cut to 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, and then I'm going to adhere it on to a piece of blueberry bushel cardstock that I have cut to 4 by 5 1/4. Next up, we're going to do a little bit of stamping. And again, have got these pieces all pre-cut. The Whisper White piece is cut to 3 by 3 7/8, and the Blueberry Bushel is cut to 3 1/8 by 3 7/8. And I'm just going to pull out and do a little bit of stamping with some lovely lipstick ink first to get the main flower on. So that kind of was the building block of all this, is kind of getting the main flower stamped on here first, and then you can add all the little accessories and leaves. Accessories is probably the wrong word to use for it. But once you get your main flower stamped on, you can definitely put all the other images around it. So let me close that one up, because Lovely Lipstick and I, for whatever reason, we don't always get along very well. For the reds, for some reason, for me, end up everywhere, all over me, and between reds and greens, I'm not sure which one's worse. So Pineapple Punch is the next one that we're using. Hey, Jerry, thanks for hopping in. Yeah, the script is really nice, and like I said, the gingham, for whatever reason, is my always go-to, and so I made myself, for the live video, use something other than the gingham, because I'm sure you guys are like, oh, there she goes again, not the gingham paper. So stamping the flower centers in Pineapple Punch ink. Just putting one on each flower. And then let me close this up. And then we're going to do some stamping with some leaves here. And I've got Call Me Clover ink set up and ready to go for that one. And I used a couple of different leaves on here. So I used the larger, like the three-leafed leaves. Is that a thing? 3-leaf leaves? I don't know. Stamp that on here. And then did a couple with the double leaf. Stamping it right around the edges. And put another one maybe down here, I think. And then let me go back over to the other side and add in a few little leaves around here. And this is one of those that, again, it's sort of like the building stamp that I used the other day. Was it Waterfront? Or my Meadow, I think, is the one that I used the other day, where you never end up with it being exactly the same as the previous one, just because, unless you're using a stamparatus, it's really hard to get it precisely placed. And, it's kind of fun. You end up with something a little different, and the layout ends up being a little different than the last one did. So, and that's just perfectly fine. So let me close up Call Me Clover. And then the next one I'm pulling out is the Grapefruit Grove. And I use that for the little, I don't know what kind of flower that is, but we'll just call it the little accent flower, because someday I will look up and I'll actually know all these flower names, and you guys are probably going to, fall off your chairs and be like, oh, she actually finally did some research. But no, I generally just like to call it flower pieces, flower leaves, whatever. So stamping a couple of those around the edges, and I'll close up this ink pad as well. And then I think we're done with the kind of the focal image of the card. So let me get a little bit of snail. And again, this was cut to 3 by 3 7/8. And I'm going to adhere it onto some Blueberry Bushel cardstock. That is about an eighth of an inch wider, or taller, I guess I should say. It's the same width, but a little bit taller. Hopefully I get it put on here. See, when I say it's the red inks, then I come up with green inks all over my fingers. So I have to be careful, because I don't always pay attention to that, and then I end up with it smeared everywhere all over my card. All right, going to adhere this down with a little bit of snail to the Designer Series paper layer that I'd already put together. And just the one nice thing about this paper is that it does have straight lines in the script and straight lines on this one that I did with the gingham on it, so that it makes it really easy to line up and make sure you have everything straight on your card front before you stick it down permanently. So next thing that I did, hey Diane, thanks for joining. And yes, this is a good stamp set. It's one of those that I'm really hoping sticks around for a while. It's really easy to use. And initially when you look at it in the catalog, it's, you know, you're like, I don't know, because the pieces look a little strange. But once you start using it and playing with it, it's definitely a good stamp set. So, all right, using a little bit of linen thread here and just wrapped it around the card front twice. And I'm going to attempt to tie a bow, which hopefully I will get that done here in a second once I quit messing around with the thread. So when I tie my bows, particularly with the linen thread, I'm going to scooch it down just a little bit. I usually try to start with a knot first, which I think I've told you that before. Of course, now that I say that, I'm going to put a knot in it. Now I can't get my fingers to work. Usually start with a knot because then everything is sort of held in place. Because I find if I try to just tie a bow the regular way without the knot in it, then I end up with things falling, flying, not staying where I want them to, and then I can't get the bow to tie nicely. So I usually just tie the knot first, and then go forward with making my little bow. All right, I'm going to trim off the tails just a little bit. It's another set you haven't gotten, Karen. Goodness. I tell you, see, you guys make fun of me. This is why I just buy everything in the catalog, because then I'm never like, oh, I don't have that one. Then I'm usually like, oh, I have that one, but I still haven't pulled it off my shelf to use it yet. So, all right, adding a couple little Stampin' dimensionals to the back of the panel. And on my card that I'd made my sample, I made it so that it opens the portrait version. But for this one, I actually had a piece of paper that was cut so that it would be a landscape card or more of a book fold card. So this card base is cut to 5.5 by 8.5, and I've scored it at 4 1/4. So, oh, you don't have this set either, Barbara? Yeah, you guys need to get on ordering it. See, although if you do order it now, then of course it will be on the retiring list. And if you don't order it now, then, it probably still will be on the retiring list. I don't know. And I'm the worst person. I get people to ask me all the time, so do you think this is going to retire? And everything that I think is going to retire never does. And everything that I'm like, no way, they'll never retire that. That's the best thing ever. Then it's gone. And so don't ask me that question, because I know I will give you the wrong answer every single time. So it's usually, whatever the opposite is of what I've said, that's what's going to happen. So the last piece of Stampin' on the card front is I used Blueberry Bushel and did a little Stampin' with the sentiment. I'm going to give this a try. I have some spare Whisper White cardstock, but I'm hoping that I can get the pre-cut. I've cut this out with a Stitched Shapes die, one of the circle dies. I'm hoping to be able to get it stamped on here. I see a spot that doesn't look very inked. Stamped on here without making too much of a mess so that I have to re-stamp it. Like I said, I've got some spare cardstock, but I figured it'd save us a little time if I didn't have to stamp it and then cut it. I think I did it. So it's always a little challenging when you're trying to, have things pre-cut ahead of time and then try to do the stamping on it afterwards. Sometimes it works out and sometimes not quite so much. So slacking. Rosie doesn't have the stamp set or the designer paper. Ooh, definitely get on ordering the designer paper if you want it. So don't have the stamp. Oh, you have the stamp set, but haven't used it yet, Cindy. So, and haven't used it a lot. Well, Linda, yep. So now you've got to pull it out and use it because I said so. So, all right. I'm going to do add a couple Stampin' dimensionals on here, and actually decided that I'm going to put them on the piece of cardstock instead of on the back of my circle, and I'll tell you here why in just a second. Because as you see, when I put this together, I wanted the twine to be around, or I wanted the dimensionals to be around the twine. That's what I'm trying to say. And the easiest way to do that is actually to stick it on here so that I make sure it's in the right place, and then I can add my sentiment over the top. So as long as you generally know where your sentiment is going to go, then you don't need to worry so much about the placement of your dimensionals. So just want to make sure, obviously, you didn't put it over here and then put your sentiment over here. So, but that's a little trick that I use sometimes when I want to make sure that my twine or ribbon is in between my dimensionals. So the last thing that I added to the card front was a couple of the little Happiness Blooms enamel dots, which again, You know, again, I'm usually wrong, but this one, I'm pretty sure these are going to retire just because of the colors in them. It's a lot of in colors in this pack. So I am fairly certain that these are going to retire. So, although, of course, like I said, now that I've said that and it's all recorded on camera, they probably will carry over for the next 5 years, and I'll be wrong. But again, just looking at the colors in it, 3 of the colors in this are in colors, so I'm assuming that these will probably go away. So if you love these embellishments like I do, get on ordering them now so that you have them and don't have to worry about it. All right, the last thing that I did was a little stamping on the inside, and I just basically stamped the larger flower image and a couple of the leaves around it again in the corner, and then added a sentiment, and that's all there is to it. So again, this is the Beautiful Friendship stamp set that I'm using to stamp the flowers on, and I used Lovely Lipstick ink for the pinky red color. And then I'm going to add a couple of little leaves around it in Call Me Clover. Linda's saying that I will as soon as I finish the 11 cards set. Ah, okay. Yeah. All right. Whoa. Did you see what I just did? Yep, just threw my, just threw the block right across. And actually, I'm amazed that it landed next to it. Usually when I do that sort of thing, it lands right on top of the cardstock, and then we get to flip it over and start again. So teach me to put lotion on my hands so they don't look like dry old lady hands and then get on the video and try to stamp. So using a little bit of pineapple punch for the centers of the flowers. There we go. All right, and then the last thing we need to do is just add a quick sentiment. And again, I used the Itty Bitty Birthday sentiment. I used the Cheers to You. And see, now I've got green on this hand. Goodness. Gosh, I'm kind of a mess. I think I must have ink on the edge of that ink pad or something. I'm not sure how I'm getting green all over myself. Although I guess I did throw the stamp around, so that's probably where it came from. All right, gonna straighten this out a little bit and hope that I get it centered on here. And I think I did. I think I got it fairly straight. And again, used blueberry bushel ink for that one. Let me set that green up and out of the way. And then a little bit of snail, and I'm kind of going up here out of where I was stamping at, so I apologize, it's probably off the screen, but I don't want to put it in here because this ink, about the time that I flip this over, it'll have green ink all over the front of it, and it actually won't be from my fingers, it'll be from everything else. So I'll put the card base back down here and just do a little bit, just adhere it quickly inside with snail. All right, and then do a little crease with the bone folder, and this one is all done. So, all right, there we go. So you need the Itty Bitty Birthday. Yes, the Itty Bitty Birthdays is a good one. There's tons of sayings in it, tons of sentiments in it. So there you have it. So those are my card shares for today. Thanks again for everybody for watching, and hopefully you like the card. Like I said, it's pretty simple. Once you see it, the stamping layout, I actually kind of swiped it from the annual catalog. If you look in there on the page with the stamp set, you'll see that there's a card that's very similar. The colors are just switched up a little bit. But I liked the layout, and I liked that it kind of showcased the pretty flowers and the designer paper. So again, make sure that you are getting the retiring in colors purchased, and get your packs of this designer paper in all the family colors purchased as well, because like I said, I'm pretty sure those are all going away. So I think that's all for me today. I will plan to see you all in our Facebook group tomorrow for the Ornate Garden product suite share. And then I will be back on Facebook Live on Tuesday at 2 o'clock Eastern Time, and plan to be back here again on Saturday or Friday at 2 o'clock Eastern Time. And the details for this are all going to be posted on my blog, and I will share that in the comment section for this video, so you'll be able to go check out the details if you missed anything, or if I said any of the wrong cardstock cuts, which I probably did. So, all right. Thanks again for joining. Have a good rest of your day and enjoy your weekend.